Hey there neighbors, welcome back to Simple Sanctuary Garden. Today we are talking about chicken coops. And I know that when I first started thinking about getting chickens, this was one of the things that felt most daunting to me because number one, how the Hades was I going to build a chicken coop that was going to keep my chickens safe? Or number two, how was I going to afford one of those kits? Now if you have looked online, the kit houses, which actually I ended up with, can cost anywhere from like $200 to over $1,000. It probably goes up more than that. I just had a lot of sticker shock at that 1K price tag and stopped looking after that point. If you don't want to spend that kind of money, you do have a couple options. You can build you can build a coop yourself from scratch. So the things that you're wanting most in a coop, when you build it yourself, you're going to have those, right? You may not have all of those features in a kit. The other thing you can do is retrofit something. So like an old shed that you're not using, or maybe you have a neighbor that's not using an old shed, you can refit one of those to be a coop super easily. That is another way that I think people have a lot of success with. If we had an old shed, that's probably what I would have done. Now, as I said, I did end up with one of the kits, but I do want to fully disclose that I was given this kit as a gift. I had a friend who was moving, and where they were moving to, they weren't going to be keeping chickens, so they gave me their chicken coop for free, which is why I have a kit version. I am incredibly blessed to just be gifted a coop. So, you know, that was huge. But what it does also tell me is that if you are interested in getting chickens, start telling people. Start looking at Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, because that's where they were going to list this coop if I hadn't wanted it. Even though the kit coops can come with a large price tag, you don't necessarily have to pay the full price for it if you take that sort of approach. Now you're probably wondering, hey Vicky, now you're probably wondering what it is that you really need in your coop to know A, if the kit is any good, or B, what to do for a coop that you may be making yourself. So let's do a quick coop tour. She does need a deep clean and a fresh coat of paint, so know that, but also know that this is a pretty average looking chicken coop because of those things. So the first thing that you're going to want to consider are your entrances and your exits. One of the things that I really like about this coop is that it's got a Dutch door, so that bottom half opens. This top half opens as well for when I need to get in there, which isn't super frequent, but it does happen. So you want to be able to get in there easily. I added this little keyhole latch to keep this open because this is how they get into the coop during the day. And then there is another entrance down here, this larger one, that I think was intended to be the main entrance and exit, but because this coop is a bit wonky, it doesn't really latch well down here. The frame's a bit crooked since, Anyway, the frame is a bit crooked, so I have actually just kind of permanently propped it shut, and we just treat this like it's a full solid wall. Now let's look at the inside of the coop a little bit. You can see some of the additional supports that I've added, this unpainted wood in here. And by I've added, I mean my husband has added for me. You're gonna wanna make sure that you have a nice roosting bar for your chickens to hang out in, as well as a plank for them to use to get up into the nest box. This has a nice little grippy asphalt type thing on it that actually also helps with their nails. So that's really nice. They, however, usually jump up onto the roost bar and then into the box. They don't use this super often. All right, this is the part of the coop that needs the deep clean. I apologize in advance. We're now going to look at their roost box and their nesting box. So this also has its own door, which is going to make it really easy to clean. This door also has another little feature that I like. I can close it up if it's real bad weather. I 9 times out of 10 just leave this down. This is what we call a vent. So in case you didn't know, chickens are poop factories. And this box desperately needs to be able to vent so that the noxious fumes from their poop don't just constantly gather in there, because then it would be uninhabitable. So this is the inside of their roost box, and you can see their nesting boxes. It's got 2 bars for them to roost on at night. I put an absolute ton of bedding in here at the start of each week, and then just scoop out the poop throughout the week, and then refreshen it. These are their nest boxes. Sometimes they sleep in these, or mine do. You don't really want to encourage that, but it happens sometimes. You can also see somebody has paid their rent today. Very kind of them. Now, some changes I would make that aren't strictly necessary, but I think would be beneficial both for the chickens. Yes, ma'am, I hear you. I'm almost done. Both for the chickens and just making my life as a chicken keeper a little bit easier. One of the upgrades I plan to do is adding some more ventilation holes up here. Again, just added ventilation. My main concern is that it does get very hot here, so I want to be able to honestly get that hot air out of the coop a little bit more. I'm not necessarily... Red's about to lay, so she's letting us all know. She's my operatic chicken. But if I could get some more of the heat out of the coop, I think that would be a great thing. It's not necessarily because of fumes, although more ventilation doesn't hurt. I would prefer it if instead of this part lifting up, that it was like the wall down here that went down. I don't really know how to change that, so this might be, you know, if I had done it myself sort of thing. And then last but not least, I dream about having an automatic door so that it just opens up at a certain time, the chickens can come out, and it closes at a certain time, and I don't have to come out and close them up. All right, y'all, that is the basics of figuring out what you need from a chicken coop. Again, it does not have to be super expensive, especially if you are getting a used chicken coop or making a chicken coop from resources that you already have. It does not need to be Instagrammable, despite what many influencers may tell you. All it has to do is to keep your girls safe. Yes, ma'am, I hear you. Next week, after showing y'all my semi-dirty coop, I think I'm gonna deep clean this and show y'all what caring for the coop on like a more day-to-day basis looks like. If you have any questions about chicken tending, about coops, about coop maintenance, please feel free to send them my way. And if you want to be sure and watch the rest of the series, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and we will talk soon.